All right, everybody. Welcome one and all to the debut podcast, FGC Wrestling Podcast here, Smarkade. Being joined by my man Rynge. How you doing, brother?
What's good, man? I'm doing all right, you know what I'm saying? I hope you're doing well.
Hell yeah. I'm chilling. So I've kind of wanted to do this for a while. I wanted to do like a wrestling, like an FGC style wrestling podcast for a minute. That's because there's a big crossover there, man. There's a lot of people that are in the community that are also huge wrestling fans, like ourselves, of course, that, no strangers to the wrestling business. Been around it for a long time. So, yeah, man, I think like this is going to be a lot of fun. And, yeah, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, like I've been watching wrestling since, just like you, I'm sure, since I was a kid. You know, I mean, obviously you are much more well versed in the realm because you wrestle. So I've never gotten that deep into it, unfortunately. Maybe one day, hopefully, before I'm too old, I get a chance to step in the squared circle. But yeah, since I was a kid, I've loved it. And I got a chance to go to a lot of shows, a lot of indie shows mainly. I
Yeah.
was fortunate enough to have a lucky spawn of being in SoCal and finding out about PWG. So I've been
Oh,
to a lot of
yes.
PWG shows, and back when it was like really prime PWG as well, where you got to see Osprey and Ricochet and all these guys that you see now running the different promotions and whatnot. So it's really dope to just see how wrestling has progressed in that instance. And yeah, man, I love this business and passion and art form with all my heart. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you today.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Like, I remember, like, there's been a lot of FGC events where, maybe there's been a live show going down the same weekend, and we've linked up and we've watched the
Yeah,
show
yeah.
and we've given our thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a lot of fun to go over these shows together and see where we go from here. So guys, if you didn't know, if you're living under a rock, WWE have moved entirely to Netflix now. The Peacock era, the WWE network, all that stuff is finished now, and they have moved entirely over to Netflix. A $5 billion deal, brother. That's
Ridiculous.
that's ridiculous money, man. They
And they
really,
had some
yeah,
moments on the show too where I was like, "Oh, we really on Netflix now?" Okay, like there was definitely some moments like that. So interesting.
yeah, no doubt. That's crazy, man. Like, so there's a lot of money in this, and of course they were live from Los Angeles, your neck of the woods, over in
Yeah, the
Cali.
the Intuit Dome. I
Yeah.
thought this was a super smart venue to do this at. It's the newest like dome or newest venue for an NBA team. It's the Clippers' new arena, and they got a bunch of cool stuff. Like Steve Ballmer went ham on building this place. So like, there's but like all of the chairs you saw, like the red lights on all the chairs. Like all the
Mm.
chairs have USB chargers, and they have lights that they can
Wow.
manipulate to like enhance the thing. They have like a giant circular screen that we got to see a little bit of. I'm surprised they didn't do more with that, honestly.
Mm.
But they did do a lot of cool stuff with the different cool things in that arena now.
That's a really cool move for a wrestling show, being able to manipulate
Super cool.
the lights on the seats. Like, that's something I never would have
Hmm.
thought about before, man. That's really sick. Nice. So yeah, apparently this was the biggest arena gate for any WWE show ever. They say that a lot, right? They throw that.
And I believe it's accurate, right? It's happened a lot, but why
Yeah.
I laugh is because like the past few times, including this time when they did it, like they announced it, like basically they're like, all right, you guys paid the most money for tickets in the history of our business, right? And the crowd just fucking cheers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bruh, and I'm like, I guess what else can you do if you're that crowd, right? You can't just like sit there and be like, damn, we got smoked. Like, so
Yeah.
I guess you have to cheer.
No doubt. And of course, like they're gonna sell more tickets just based on the fact that, like, oh, it's the first ever episode of Raw on
Yeah.
Netflix, guys. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And I of course, like throughout the show as well, they were showing all kinds of celebrities. There was a big focus on that.
Dude,
They were trying to drive that point home that, though, this is the Netflix debut. Look at all these stars that we got to come to the event. Like, yeah.
They even had wrestlers sitting in the crowd, like audience members, bro. Like I was tripping out about that. Like they had that shot with like it was LA Knight, Rey Mysterio, and the War Raiders like behind the commentary team. But I was like, why are they just sitting there like fans? Like they eventually got to them and
Yeah.
like gave them their little spotlight. But before that, it just felt so strange to me.
Yeah, that was weird. Very, very unusual environment. And of course, the focus was on Raw, the flagship show for WWE. Of course, they do have SmackDown as well. I believe that takes place on Friday nights now these days. So, because I've been out the loop for a while, I'm not gonna lie, with WWE. Like, I watch it sometimes, like here and there, but like I've not, like I used to watch this shit like religiously, bro. Like, but you know, in recent years I kind of fell off a bit with it. But you know, of course they did have some storylines going into the show, which we'll get to later. But they started out with a big. Okay, so we got to see they hyped the main event first, of course. You know, they showed us we had Punk coming to the arena.
And I do like them doing this now where they like show the wrestlers getting to the arena and whatnot. That's been part of like their more sports style stuff since Vince got kicked out, right? They've definitely been trying to implement some more of that stuff. And yeah, I always love them kind of showing the wrestlers into the building and whatnot. Sometimes something further happens. Sometimes it's just a shot of them entering. But yeah, I like that vibe.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Like it's a nice little intro to the show, and it gives you something to look forward to a bit later on. And of course, Punk. I'm in two minds about Punk these days, man. Like, I like that, you know, he's still wrestling and doing his thing, but I don't know, man. There's something about this guy. Like, I just like I feel like he's worn out his welcome a bit at this point. I don't know. Like,
I guess it feels like to me because I'm with you, right? Like,
I
used to be like a really giant Punk fan.
Same.
Like he's cool, but not my favorite. And I think part of it is because, like you say, it feels like he should have evolved in some significant way as a character, not even as a person, but like as a character, considering everything that has gone on in his career.
True.
It doesn't feel like he has really. It feels like he's, you know, usual CM Punk, which again, great character, you know, great promo and all that, but like it just feels like there should be something else.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like it does feel that these days with Punk, you know, he's kind of like, I don't want to say phoning it in, but he kind of is like, I don't know. It's just something about him's a bit off.
Something that I thought about, right? Like, I don't want to get too off topic. I don't want this to be too long, but like something I thought about watching Punk yesterday at the Monday Night Raw was like, and watching, I think it was like Collision or something, was, you know, the Hangman Punk beef where Hangman was like, yo, bro, I'm not going to ask you for advice or whatever. And like, it makes sense to me now because Hangman like goes about these story beats where he evolves heavily, right? As a character. That's kind of what he's about as a wrestler. While Punk, I feel like he's much more about outward conflict than inward conflict. So I feel like they're just fundamentally different wrestlers. Like, so it makes more sense to me now watching them both and how they've evolved since then about why they weren't real, or why Hangman at least wasn't trying to hear Punk out.
No doubt. And of course, this will be Punk's first Raw match in like, you know, however long it was that he left. So yeah, he hasn't actually wrestled on Raw. He only usually wrestles on special occasions, and you know, they're making this feel like a big event with they're getting Punk on the card. So, you know, I've got to say that's a big plus for the show. Moving on, we did have this like broadcast in the middle of the arena where they had like the big curtain going around, I guess. Like, this was very different. I don't think I've ever seen them do this specifically, but they played a video here. And of course, guys, by the way, I'm not going to be able to show any clips because I don't want Triple H knocking on my door and like, you know, like pedigreeing me from my dinner table.
To my stream setup.
Exactly. So we're just going to have stills today. But yeah, they showed a video, and I'm not going to lie, this intro video it really gave it a big special feel. Like I really enjoyed that. It was really nice. And they actually like kind of like broke the fourth wall a bit. You know, we're talking about like what's real and what isn't, and like using terms like heel and face, and it was like, okay, so we're really going there now. This really does feel like a different era, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like they're gonna address head on like the fact that everyone now knows that wrestling is scripted, right? It is an entertainment show.
There you go.
So like let's kind of lean into that a little bit. And yeah, it was very interesting the way he was like, or the blurring the lines between bad guys and good guys, and then they showed like the NWO, right, and stuff like that, and it was like, okay, like, and just in general, fantastic video, like 100%. WWE has knocked the video packages out of the park for decades now, and they continue to do so. I really like that they use the all-around curtain. I think this is something the NBA uses a lot for like hype up intro videos before the teams come out. So I think that's where they got this, and then using that and having it come down, and Triple H is like, Netflix, yeah! Like it was definitely a nice little hype to start the show.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Like I say, that did really give it a kind of like a big feel. It kind of reminded you why you love wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like all these cool moments. It's like, yo, I'm invested in this. Like I really like this. So that was cool, and it looks like, you know, It's no longer the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression era, the PG era. All of that's finished, and it's now the Netflix era, which doesn't sound as cool, but you know, it sounds kind of lame, but it is what it is. And we, you know, it really did kind of have a mystique of like, we don't know what's going to happen, like coming up in these next few months. And it was really cool to have Triple H there to really kind of ring it in. You know, you've got to have him there.
Of course.
But yeah, like a nice intro to the show, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. I really like the cold open video. And if you haven't seen that cold open video, if you missed the beginning of Raw, obviously, you can go back on Netflix. That's one of the great things about it being on Netflix is that it's instantly available on demand. I was worried they were going to do some funky stuff with that, but instantly available on demand, so that's cool. But also that cold open is on YouTube, so you can check it out. Like, it's a really, really great video. Triple H obviously coming out. And it was funny because I think when we usually get a longer Triple H spiel, but then it was like, the next segment was The Rock, right? Who actually did like the spiel that Triple H would normally do. So it was like, all right, Triple H was like, Netflix, and then got out of here. And then it was like, all right, hit The Rock's music, and everybody went crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. So The Rock came down, but, you know, looking a little bit different. Like, you know, like not only the stubble going on here, but of course, looking a lot more, you know, happy to interact with the fans. And it looks like maybe he's not the final boss anymore.
Brother, I was so confused. Like, I was sitting.
This was so weird because like every moment we've had with The Rock and the, you know, recent, I say recent, like the past year or so on our TV screens for WWE, right? He's been the bad guy. He's been the final boss.
Yeah.
You know, he's been like beating Cody's ass, like and all of a sudden now we're supposed to like love this guy, like.
Yeah, I was very confused as well. Like, he came out, like, my notes are like, he was so cordial and like played everything straight, and I'm like, and like you, I noted that he didn't feel like the final boss character at all. It felt like that's not what he was playing. It felt like he was Dwayne Johnson, like he was literally here as like the part of the board of directors, former legend. Like, I'm just here to let everybody know it's gonna be a great era. I love Cody Rhodes. I love Roman Reigns. Let's go. And I was just like, what? I was like, like you said, last time we saw you, you were damn near murdering Cody. Yeah. It looked like, literally last time we saw you, I forgot that he was at the Bad Blood pay-per-view and did the throat slice. Like, what?
Yeah, that was weird.
And so, like, none of that was addressed. He wasn't playing the final boss character at all throughout the whole night. So, yeah, I was very, like, taken aback as well.
Yeah, it was weird because it didn't even, like you said, like, Dwayne Johnson came out. I didn't feel like The Rock came out at all. It was just like Rock came out, like, yeah, we sold lots of tickets, Netflix, yeah, but you know,
you guys paid the most for any gate in history. Yeah, I forgot he's the one that did that.
And you know what the weird part about this segment was? He like was talking about some of the celebrities in the arena, in the arena, and you know, talking about people specifically, and then it cut to, and then he's like, he pointed out Cody in the crowd, and it cut to a shot of Cody just sitting in the crowd, and it's like, what? Like, that's so random. Like, couldn't you bring him out to the ring? Like, that was really off, man. I don't know. Something about that felt off to me. Like, just having Cody in the crowd.
I didn't like having Cody in the crowd right there. And then, I mean, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but then he goes to the back to make his run in, and I'm like, why wasn't he just there on the where he was from the beginning for the run? Just very weird. I'm with you on that. It felt strange.
Very confusing there with that, but yeah. And you know what this is as well? Like, so he came out as a face, right? Just to touch on the last point on The Rock here. We know that he wanted originally to be face last year, but with all the Cody controversy, he was basically forced into being a heel. So he might be playing the kind of character that he wanted to last time, but he kind of couldn't. So, you know, I feel like last year everything worked out very well in the end, but he wanted originally to be the big star, the big face, right? So who knows where this is going moving forward? Anyway, like I'm looking forward to it. Always having The Rock on TV is better than not having The Rock on TV. I will say that. For sure.
Yeah, well, he got me good when he called himself a little pebble, when he was like Young Rock, little pebble. It's like, all right, you know, Rock, you still got it. He got me good.
Oh yeah. He's still great on the mic for sure.
But yeah, I mean, as far as like match at WrestleMania concerned is, like, I feel like he's not wrestling at WrestleMania this year now.
Maybe
like,
not.
You know what I mean? Like maybe like you said, it's more of a face thing, and he tags with Roman this time or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, like it completely threw me off what my expectations were going forward for him, at least.
Absolutely. So after Rock, of course, we do have I believe this was like tribal combat or something like that, and it's to be crowned the true tribal chief of
for the Ulafala.
There you go. I was trying to remember the name of that thing, but yeah,
I don't know how it's spelled, but I spelled it how I pronounce it, so it's helping me.
Well, here we go. Solo currently, of course, the possessor wears the wreath, and Roman looking to. By the way, Roman's shoes, kind of fire.
Yeah, man. Yeah, their custom Kobe 9 wrestling boots, and I thought it was really sick that he got the Kobe 9s for the LA Intuit Dome and all that. You know what I mean? So I think he that was a very nice touch. For sure.
Very nice. So of course, tribal combat. Essentially, they use these buzz names a lot just for like street fight, no DQ matches.
Yes.
So there was a lot of brawling, a couple of big bumps actually from these guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like Roman took a big like rock bottom onto a steel chair. We had Roman with a big power bomb through the table on Solo. That got a big pop as well. And it's a nice way to kick off the show. Like that's when it's a big fight feel event. When you're kicking off the show with a match like this, with a star like Roman Reigns in the opening match, that's when like it feels like a special event. It feels like a WrestleMania style almost.
100%. Like you know that meme of the gamer lean where they're like sitting back and then the gamer lean forward, right? I heard Solo's music and I was like, what? Like this is our first match? I immediately leaned forward, right? I was like, oh my goodness, okay then.
Especially as we had Rock, kind of hyping up the tribal combat match. It was like, okay, well that's gonna be later on. But yeah. We had this match to kick things off, and a lot of brawling, like I said, a lot of back and forth, but just big hard hitting stuff.
Well, one of the things that really stuck out to me super early, like during their entrances, was just how packed in this Intuit Dome was. Like they've been doing it more and more, right? Where they reduce the staging to get more and more people inside the building. And like, man, the Intuit Dome was so packed. Like seeing them just walk down that aisle was so narrow, right? Like the fans were right there. They could reach out and touch the wrestlers like that. Like it was just packed to the gills with people. So that was something that stood out to me early. Like you mentioned, a couple of cool spots. I really like the spinning Solo on the announcement table. I felt like that was like really a quick burst. And I think that's kind of something Solo lacks a little bit sometimes. I feel like he'd be a little bit too prodding. So I really like that quick burst and just getting him out there. I'm impressed with the steel step spot too. Anytime two people are willing to have the steel steps just chucked at them and like have no control for a certain aspect or a certain time frame of the steel steps flying, I'm always impressed by that.
Oh yeah. It always looks really brutal. Definitely adds to the match, and there was a couple of cool little spots here. I always like that when Roman does like the drive-by kick when they're kind of he did it like while Solo was kind of hanging on the apron a bit, so that looked really nice. There was some good stuff in this match. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and then of course, like as you mentioned, not only did it have that WrestleMania feel just in terms of atmosphere, but they booked it like a WrestleMania main event. Like the past few Roman Reigns main events have been booked exactly like this, where there's at certain point it's either bloodline rules or the ref bump happens, and then everybody starts coming out. Right? They hit entrance musics for the interference, which still blows my mind. It's so funny. It's hype, but it's just funny to think about in kayfabe. But it is very hype. I'll give them that.
No doubt.
So like Fatu came out, right? And you saw, I think it was, what's his name?
Tama
Tonga came out. Yeah. Giga Fatu, as always, was awesome. I really liked Michael Cole as well. Like calling for the ref to get out of the ring. He was like, bro, you got to get away from these dangerous men. Like you're going to get your ass beat. And then of course they beat him up. So I really like that.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. But yeah, just like a really big kind of like a visual spectacle for an opening match, having a lot of big spots and the big interference, and of course the bloodline storyline is still going. I don't think that's ended anytime soon. Probably even past WrestleMania at this point. Like I just can't see this thing ending actually. Then of course we had Kevin Owens coming out and Cody. Of course they're gonna have their match at the Rumble.
I really like the Kevin Owens cameo, like especially because there was no music. He just like came out of nowhere from the crowd and immediately hit Roman with a stunner. I was like, oh my god, like that actually got me, like something I wasn't expecting at all. So that was really cool. And Kevin Owens always awesome, so for sure, love it.
Yeah, you can't not love Kevin Owens, man. Like he's such a hard worker that you can't ignore it. Like
And he likes a lot of the little things, right? Like he does a lot of the little things, the music between the notes when it comes to wrestling. But even like just wearing the black and red KO shirt for this, right? Like doing
Yeah,
the
I like that.
bloodline colors for this
Yeah,
segment.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
got all of the little things that just enhance it if you're looking for it.
Absolutely. So yeah, of course. And again, one thing I didn't like you mentioned earlier, Cody's music hit and he ran down. So Cody was in the crowd for the Rock promo. And then I guess he went backstage and then ran back out. Like,
Yeah.
why show us him in the crowd if then like his music's gonna hit and he's gonna run down? Like, I don't get that. Like, it just seemed a bit weird and confusing. But yeah, man, it had that kind of like WrestleMania like big booking feel to it with these big run-ins,
100%.
you know, from these stars. So
yeah, I thought overall match was fine. Like
Yeah,
I
decent.
honestly didn't think it was like great. Like it was a little slow for sure. It was cool. Obviously, once we got into all the interference and the spectacle aspect of it, everybody was into it. So it did its job in that aspect. So definitely a success.
yeah, decent match, like you know, solid match, I would say. Did the job. Like you didn't need to do anything too extra at this point. You know, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it is still Raw. So yeah, it did the job, and then Roman, of course, took it with a spear. A nice build up for the spear, actually. They hit the ropes a couple times, and then boom. And of course, Roman is the OTC. He is the one tribal chief now, so good stuff to him. And then, of course, Big Dwayne had to come back out, give him the Predator moment, and then there we go.
The Predator moment indeed. And then again, I still very confused. And I feel like I think a lot of us watching, I think a lot of the crowd was expecting, especially with how long the celebration went for The Rock to attack Roman. Like the celebration went so long. Like he went out, he was like, let me get the Ula follow from Heyman, right? He puts it on Roman.
Yep.
He gives him the Predator handshake. Roman does the ones to the crowd. Roman goes to the other side of the crowd, says to do this, goes back to the original side of the crowd, does the ones again. I was like, what's happening? And all that just for The Rock to like open the ropes for him and walk out. I was like, huh?
I was waiting for it as well. And do you know what? They might have actually done this as like a self-aware moment. Like they kind
100%, yes.
They probably expected us to expect that Rock was gonna do something or try some bullshit, especially after his face promo at the start of the show. So so I don't, you know, this could, if this is long-term storytelling, this is genius.
Sure,
like if this does result in Rock versus Roman at Mania, I'm down for that. But yeah,
I was a
very
little
interesting.
underwhelmed in the moment. I was a little underwhelmed in the moment, just because I was expecting, because it was like Netflix debut, Raw. Last time we saw The Rock, he was the final boss. Like, so I was just a little underwhelmed that it was just like, all right, cousin, good job, let's get out of here. But we'll see for sure.
Yeah, it's also kind of like you said, man. It's kind of weird that we would have Rock, then the match, and then The Rock comes back out. It's bro, there's a lot of this going back and coming back out. Like already, this is only in the first hour. So
yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of which, the cold open into this moment took the entire first hour of the show.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh man, all right, whatever you say, buddy.
Exactly. And if that's the first match, then you know, Raw's usually a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it came to see that we only would see 4 matches on the card, and this is kind of like what they wanted to go for, I guess, like a big fight, like pay-per-view style feel.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
because that's how they do a lot of their pay-per-views nowadays, right? Where it's like 5 matches max, and they try to really hype up those matches, and that is what they did here. But man, 4 matches in 3 hours was a choice, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of stuff in between the matches as well, and one of which was a little promo here from the New Day. By the way, I'm not sure. I think the live broadcast was different because these stills are from like the uploaded version afterwards. So I think they fill in the ad break. By the way, Netflix, if you already have Netflix, bro, I'm not trying to watch ads while I'm trying to watch a show.
Yeah.
That hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I hear in like certain parts, like, you get like the segments instead of the commercials and whatnot. I definitely got the commercials. So I know what segment this is, but I didn't actually see it live.
Yeah. How do we feel about the New Day now? Like, obviously these guys with the big heel turn, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like what they're doing so far. My favorite part is that Xavier Woods so far is dressing like he's from 2003. Like he's like, you know, like a real F boy from 2003, and I've been loving that aspect of it. Like he doesn't have the glasses on here, but he's got the big like 2003 like F boy sunglasses. This jacket, it's a little hard to see from my perspective right here, but it's got the sequins all over the jacket. Like, so I like that I like the way they're leading into it so far, for sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That was yeah. I mean, I would have liked to see these guys in a tag match, honestly. Like, they're honest. Oh yeah,
have they wrestled since turning heel?
I don't think so.
Right?
No, I don't think so. I think, and during this, he said they were scheduled to wrestle, but then he said that like, oh, I don't think you guys deserve to see us wrestle or something. But so I guess plans changed. Maybe they were planned to wrestle at some point on the show. But then I guess
there was definitely some stuff that was taken off the card for sure and changed, as we'll get to in a little while.
Yeah, I hear that. But honestly, like, good heel tag teams, I don't think there's a lot of them right now in WWE. Like, I can't really think of any. Yeah. Like Chad Gable's guys, I know that those guys are like heel, but other than that, like, I can't really think of many tag teams in general. Like, their division is a bit lacking, to be honest.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to start to get back to it a little bit, but I mean, yeah, like with the World Tag Team titles, right? When it was like on Finn and JD, they were defended like 3 times in 180 something days or something like that. Like, very, very pushed to the back. Like, now the War Raiders got them. We'll see if the War Raiders, or whatever they're called nowadays, I think they're called the War Raiders still, they do something more with them. The SmackDown tag team division has been a little bit more interesting because of the Motor City Machine Guns, and DIY just turned heel as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So SmackDown's got a little bit more juice, but yeah, the tag team division still got a ways to go. I agree.
Okay, well, there we go. New Day, of course. They
just go in. They're like, yeah, LA, you guys like Kendrick Lamar, and everybody's like, boo. And that was pretty funny. That was pretty funny that they did the Kendrick Lamar Drake bit. I enjoyed that.
But yeah, I feel like at this point, though, with the New Day, you've got to do something different. Like, so I respect them, you know, doing the heel thing, because they're so, like, I think they realized it was getting a bit stale. They weren't really doing anything different. So good
and this was
idea.
A genuine way that they were going to get heat. Like burying Big E for getting his neck broken. Like, there's no way you don't get booed for that. Even in context where everyone knows this is an entertainment show. Like, that was just going to be too good. So I'm glad they were willing to do this move.
I'm hoping that this results in like a tag match or even a handicap match at Mania. That would be cool. Well, I mean, if Big E's cleared to wrestle, I don't even know if he's still injured or what, but it would be nice to see him, you know, back in the mix somehow. But yeah, so the New Day got some screen time, which is nice. Also, looks like the Royal Rumble now will not just the, what do they call it, the greatest Royal Rumble, the actual the actual Royal Rumble will be taking place in Riyadh next year.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think they'll get a little bit of fan blowback. People have been like, wait till they do WrestleMania. That's when, you know, I think the big blowback will happen in terms of a lot of the fandom. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see it. Obviously, whenever they go to Saudi, it's always a packed house. It's always an electric vibe. Like, the crowd is never, you know, one of the issues. Like, obviously for us, it's a little tough for the time zones and whatnot. But I accept that as a person who has been privileged with the time zones for my entire life when it comes to watching this stuff, right? So if I got to get up at a weird time sometimes, it's not a big deal. But yeah, I always like the crowds at these stuff. I understand that there's, you know, some messy things regarding the governments and all that, but like in terms of the crowd and the people of Riyadh and all that, it's always a great show.
Absolutely. And you know, we can attest to that. You know, we've had the privilege of being there, so the people there obviously very friendly and stuff. But yeah, the Royal Rumble I feel like is a great event to have there, because these guys, like the government here, they love their like classic 90s, you know, wrestling.
Yes.
So you know they're gonna like shell out to try and get some like, and a lot of the like legends or like older wrestlers, I'm a lot more inclined to take part in like a Royal Rumble, because it's like you're in the ring for like 2 minutes. Yes, you know, exactly. It's all about the entrance and the return and the spectacle of it all. So yeah, I feel like that this could be interesting, and I guess we'll see how it goes down.
It'll be like you remember like the WrestleMania 17, like the nostalgia battle royal. Like, I feel like there's gonna be an element of that for this Royal Rumble for sure, where they're gonna try to reach deep in the bag to get a lot of people that haven't shown up in a while.
No doubt. So there you go, guys. Next year, the Royal Rumble will be taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Okay, then it looks like the last time is now. John Cena, his farewell tour has officially begun as of last night. Did a promo addressing the crowd, and yeah, man, like I've always been so mixed, like on John Cena. Like I can accept he's a hard worker, right? He is. He's one of the hardest workers of all time in professional wrestling, and just he seems like a very genuine all-round guy. But when it comes to his in-ring stuff, I've always been a bit hit and miss with it. Unless it's the right opponent.
Agreed, yeah.
Unless it's the right opponent, I feel like I don't know, but good promo nonetheless, and it's good to have him on the show to address the fans.
I think he had a formula that really bothered a lot of us watching wrestling for a long time when it came to the matches, right? Like, just because they were often so often booked with him getting his ass beat and then making a comeback, like at the end of the match and just win. And it was just repeated to death over and over again, and it got really boring, honestly. I think it turned a lot of people off. And he eventually like came back and did his different eras where he had like the US title open challenge where it was better in ring work, right? And he kind of evolved a little bit in that way and whatnot. But absolutely, I think regardless of how we all feel about his in ring work, whether you loved it, whether you weren't that much of a fan of it, we all recognize that he is a legend at this point. Like when it has some of the best longevity in the history of wrestling, right? When you think about John Cena's run and how long he was the guy, it was longer than The Rock. It was longer than Austin. It was longer than a lot of the top guys that have ever existed. So yeah, definitely give him his flowers. I really love the last time is now, the little remix on his catchphrase. I think that's a great touch. I thought the promo was good. I like the way he wove the story, talking about like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get the 17-time championship. I haven't won in 2,000 days. Like, why would I get a title match? Yeah. And then he was like, oh, but the Royal Rumble, the Elimination Chamber, if I was able to pull off one of those, maybe I'll have a shot. And yeah, so I thought the promo was awesome. I like the little nods he gave to LA and SoCal as well, because that's where he got scouted and did his Muscle Beach thing as a bodybuilder, right? So overall, I thought it was a great promo.
That's right. A couple nice little throwbacks in there. Did reference, the prototype, which was his first ever wrestling name. So that was really cool. And yeah, man, like it's the story's there for him now. You know what I'm saying? Like, can he get it done? He has 1 year to do it. Can he get the job done? Can he win the Rumble or the Chamber and go on to win the title? So that would put him 16-time world champion right now. He is currently tied with Ric Flair. If he wins that, he's won the most world titles out of any American wrestler.
I don't know if they're gonna do it. I feel like they want to. I don't know if they're going to. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to call because I feel like a lot of people right now, like Cody is so good with the belt that like I don't know what they're gonna do with that, if they're gonna take it off. I understand they probably want to get Roman a belt here again in a little while. I don't know. It'll be very interesting. I feel like they want to do it though. I think they'll feel happier having Cena hold the record rather than being tied with Ric Flair, but who knows?
Sure, I'm sure they would prefer that, to be honest. They might have him win the other title. We might have him go for the Gunther
World.
Yeah.
Who
knows? Regardless, John Cena farewell tour has begun now. It's officially kicked off. So it'll be interesting to see like how often he actually wrestles. I'm sure it'll just be for storyline purposes, aside from like the big pay-per-view matches. But yeah, I mean, having Cena on the card here, it really gives the show a bit more of a, big event, big premium event feel, you know what I'm saying?
I still can't believe we're getting John Cena and Tanahashi retiring in the same year. That is so crazy.
That is crazy.
Very, poetic, very poetic, but also crazy.
I hear that. So there we go. John Cena says he's going to do his best to win the Rumble. And then, okay, we have got the Women's World Championship match underway here. This was Rhea Ripley, of course, the challenger, taking on Liv Morgan.
Okay, can I interrupt you just for a second?
Go for it.
So right before this match, they showed a Logan Paul hype video where Logan Paul was like, no more side quests, no more side hustles, 100% WWE. Yeah. And I was like, bullshit, brother. Yeah. Like, no shot. Yeah. Like, I don't know why you're making this promo, but whatever you say. Like, there's no shot you give up all the side hustles, but all right.
No, of course not. Of course not. Like, he wasn't even on the show. Like,
that was, you were advertised, you were in the crowd and a video package. That's it. You weren't even on the show. Come
on, bro. Come on, Logan Paul. Can't deny it though. He does get it done in the ring, but
he does. I think so. I understand problematic human. I think he's a fantastic heel, and he's a good in ring. So understand problematic human, good at what he does when it comes to wrestling. So that's honestly long history of wrestling. So
all right, here we go. Anyway, this match was a bit of a different feel. I feel like this was a lot more of a like an underdog style match, other than the other matches on the card. Of course, we had oh yeah, we had some crazy moves, by the way, bro. The half and half suplex.
Yeah.
I was damn, I've never
look at this.
Look at this landing. I've never seen Rhea do that, and I've never seen Liv Morgan take a bump like that. I was like, God damn, okay, they're going all out. And
this was supposed to be last woman standing. This is one of the things that changed. They
was it?
advertised this as a last woman standing match, and then they just came out, and I think it's because the match order, they ended up following a street fight. So they were like, we don't want to do street fight into last woman standing, so it was changed. But that's something to note for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That was probably, yeah, that's what that was, no doubt. All right, so they went with just a traditional match here.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we get that match later down the line, but honestly, I feel like this is done now after this match. Like,
yeah,
they don't need to keep doing this match, to be honest. Of course, the heels were cheated to try and win. Rhea Ripley, of course, can't get the job done against her. Too strong. They tried everything in the book. They brought in the steel chair. Dominic distracted the ref.
They did the exact WrestleMania match finish, which I thought was cool. They did a callback to that exact finish where Dom was distracting Rhea, and then she turned into the Oblivion on the chair, but this time Rhea kicked out.
Yes.
So I was like, all right, sick. I like that callback. That was dope. That was dope.
That's always nice to do, you know, like when you see people wrestle multiple times, you want to see those callbacks. You want to see the evolution and how each wrestler one-ups the opponent this time, and how things change and how things evolve. So that's always really nice to do. I'm always a big fan of those kind of situations. But yeah, turns out Rhea Ripley hit the Riptide twice in a row and got the job done there, and we have a new champion. So
yeah,
there we go. Rhea Ripley, another. How many time champion is she now? I need to check this actually. I don't actually know.
I want to say 4, maybe. I don't really know. But either way, I'm super glad that Rhea is in the position she is now. I think a lot of us that have seen Rhea for years knew she was a superstar. Like, clearly, like, this could be the top woman on your roster. Like, it was one of the most, I think, easiest things to see for even the layman. And I'm glad she's in this spot now. She's incredible in ring. Her facial expressions, her charisma, like when she caught Liv for that last Oblivion before she countered into the Riptide, the double Riptide for the win, like her face in that moment, I was just like, this is why she's where she's at. Like this facial expression, this type of in-ring emotion is why she's where she's at. So super sick. And then the post-match is pretty funny too, where we got to see Rhea fake the hug out with Dom, kick him in the balls, and man, the ball shot right there. And then she is so strong, bro. The Riptide on Dom looks so sick. It looked like she did not even have to try that hard. Like, I was like, bruh, she's a beast.
Yeah, she fucking muscled him up, bro. Like, yeah, she's an absolute beast. Like at this point, she is she's an absolute monster. So Rhea Ripley,
but before we get on to this next part, which was very strange in terms of this Rhea Ripley thing. So there's 3 instances total where I was like, damn, we're on Netflix now. The first was when Rock just dropped bullshit in the middle of the promo and there was like no bleep. I was like, oh yeah.
Yes.
I was like, we're on Netflix now. I forgot. The second one was after this ball shot and Michael Cole is like, Dom's not going to have any fun with Liv later. And Pat McAfee was like, what do you mean? And Michael Cole was like, you know. And I was like,
God, bro.
I was like, oh, so we're on Netflix, so we could talk about people fucking, but not really. That's kind of where we're at now. Okay, I got you. That got me real good.
Yeah. We didn't know like what the Netflix deal would consist of in terms of like, you know, programming. Are we staying PG? Are we gonna have a bit more, you know, a bit more fun with it, a bit more blood, a bit more violence, swearing, etc. And it looks like maybe, you know, like they seem to be a bit more open to that kind of stuff, like talking about whatever and just having fun with it. So
they dipped their toes in here, and then later I think somebody pushed them into the pool. I'm not sure if they expected it, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
I think I know what you're talking about, but
yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Anyway, of course, after the match, I mean, this was out of left field. Like, the lights went out. We hear the gong, and then the Undertaker came out. Like, this was super random. So poor Rhea had to stand at the top of the ramp while the fucking Undertaker came out, like drove around the ring on his motorcycle and drove back up the ramp. Like, this was so weird.
Yeah, and again, like you said, it's just one of those things for the first Netflix show, trying to make it feel as big as possible, get as many of the biggest stars that they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, this like shoe-in of Undertaker for the Rhea Ripley celebration, it was just so weird. So,
yeah, it was kind of weird.
Out of place.
I mean, yeah, it's cool to have Undertaker on the show, but very random and kind of like takes away a little bit from Rhea's win, to be honest. Like,
yeah, like I get a little bit of it, you know, they're big tattooed people, you know what I mean? But like,
yeah,
he came out as American Badass. She's from Australia. Like, it was strange.
It was a bit strange, but yeah, you're not wrong. Actually, they look like they could team up, perhaps. But
like, I get it, right? Like, if you put them both in their prime, you could see like a power couple like type joint with their vibes. But like, whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
I guess yeah, it was a bit off, to be honest. But yeah,
my entire notes is in all caps. Why is American Badass Taker here? I'm just like, what is going on?
Well, there we go. Undertaker coming out there, and yeah, kind of cool to see Taker, but yeah, again, a bit weird and out of place at the same time. But you know,
cool to
it is
see
what it
Taker.
is. Is what it is. We had a backstage segment with Chad Gable in his new faction here, vowing to win a singles title by the end of the year. We also saw Bayley in this segment as well, so it's good to see her on screen, I believe. Wait, how is she? She's not injured right now, is she?
No, she's not. And in this segment, she showed up. I remember the last thing she said was telling Pierce that you gotta do your job. So I think this is like some tease, like for draft trade type period or something like that. Where
Possibly,
there's been a lot of this on the shows recently, where like a wrestler from the opposite show will be shown talking to the GM for just a moment, and it sounds like they're trying to get trades or draft picks done, something like that. And then yeah, as you mentioned, Gable was like, "Let me get a singles title." He also said he's going to dispel the notion that he has trouble with luchadors, and to send the best luchador Pierce has got. And one of the things that was removed from the card tonight was a tag match with Rey Mysterio, where it was speculated that Penta was going to debut as Rey Mysterio's partner.
Okay, that's right. And we did see a Penta segment throughout the show as well. Like, we saw it.
Yeah.
So
the hype video.
Yeah, the hype video for him, little teaser. And yeah, we do know Penta was supposed to debut with his brother Rey Fenix a while back, but there was
getting held hostage.
Yeah. Rey Fenix is basically being forced to wait out his contract for AEW. Yeah. So yeah, there's some problems there. But yeah, Penta, I assume we're going to be seeing him on the Netflix era sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I assume that this is now a tease for where Penta's going to face Chad Gable in some singles match. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm down with that. They can have a banger, if I'm honest.
Oh, 100%. 100%. They have a great match.
Yeah, they're both spectacular in the ring. So, yeah, look forward to seeing that. But, okay. All right, then we have some... This was so weird. Behind the scenes.
I forgot about this.
Like, Instagram video with, like, The Rock. And, you know what The Rock's like, bro. Any opportunity to chill out.
Dude.
Bro, we're supposed to believe The Rock hangs out with a bottle of tequila, a bottle of Terramana.
That's what I'm saying.
And he's fucking drinking and then getting behind the wheel. Like, what? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
like,
this is like Justin Wong Bud Light Gaming era shilling that we're getting into right now with The Rock. Holding the tequila, getting behind the wheel. I feel like he puts the bottle between his legs so you can like still see it in the shot. Doesn't even put it in like the cup holder. I'm like,
holy
Rock,
shit.
Come on, dog. Like, come on, kids are watching at home. You're basically promoting drinking and driving at this point. What are you doing,
brother? I'm surprised they didn't like say something. Like, Michael Cole, I believe he said something like, "Oh, have you tried that? Have you tried some Terramana, Pat?" And like they were just joking about it, but it's like, bro was literally he took a swig. Like he took a swig from the bowl. Like
nah, that's nuts. Yeah,
crazy stuff.
We just Rock the Instagram videos and all that. I never really like them featuring the Instagram videos, but whatever. I get why they do it.
Of course. Any opportunity for The Rock to get his products on Netflix, I guess. But there we go. We have some more Rock shilling right here, drinking and driving. Coming out, by the way. crazy business with Travis Scott coming out. Bro, this is so crazy. My man who had a beer in hand, what appears to be a fat blunt in the other, and wearing the hardcore title. What?
I was like, and he was 100% zooted, brother. That man was gone out there. They started showing him. He's just looking around. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he did not just hold the blunt in his hand. He took a freaking puff on live TV and blew the smoke out. I couldn't believe it. This is when I was like, oh, we're really on Netflix now. We got Travis Scott smoking weed on the live broadcast. What? Like, there is literally a clip of Jey Uso standing next to him and him ripping the blunt and blowing smoke out. I was like, what?
So
insane.
So yeah, Travis Scott, he does the new theme song for Raw, and I got respect for my man holding the hardcore title of all titles. Like, big respect.
So I don't know how into Travis Scott you are, but one of his monikers forever has been Cactus Jack. He loves like the Cactus Jack moniker.
That's sick.
And to my knowledge, there is no Cactus Jack besides our Cactus Jack. Like, I've tried to research this and look if he's referencing something else, but it seems to me like he's referencing Mick Foley's character, which would also be in line with that hardcore title.
Nice. Okay, I'm with that. Good stuff. So, of course, accompanying Jey Uso entering, by the way, this crowd were bumping on this entrance. I think this was probably the loudest they were.
Oh, yeah.
All night.
The Jey Uso entrance.
They loved that. Like, they were getting really behind Jey Uso for this. Big pop for him walking down to the ring there as he set up for his match against Drew McIntyre, who is, of course, becoming a superstar in his own right, man. Like, this guy
I love Drew.
Yeah, he's killing it as of late. Like, that heel persona has transformed this guy into a superstar.
Yeah, I've had the discussion recently with a couple of friends, especially like after Wrestle Kingdom, and the difference between like Japanese presentation of wrestling and American presentation of wrestling. And, you know, Japanese very sport based, and we got a lot of melodrama and dramatic, you know, pageantry in American wrestling a lot of the time. I feel like Drew has found the perfect way to make like a realistic grounded character in the fantasy world of WWE. Like, he's just struck that perfect balance of being able to be melodramatic enough while still keeping a lot of his things logical and realistic.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, he's knocking it out of the park, man. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And his social media game is unmatched, honestly, at the moment.
Super great.
It's outstanding.
Bronson's coming for him a little bit, but Drew is still number one right now.
Yeah. I hear that. But yeah, hot start for this one. And you know what? I really like that from Jey Uso. Starting the match, like, gives this match a different feel to all the other matches we had on the night. Like, all the other ones, they had a kind of like slow, methodical start. This one was boom, dive through the rope, suicide dive, get this shit started. I like that fast-paced, hot start there.
Yeah, 100%. Especially with like the way these two have beef, this makes sense, right? Like the Solo Sikoa Roman, the Rhea Liv, like there's a lot of heat there, but there's a lot of history as well, right? These two have been feuding for a while, and Rhea and Liv's case, literal years. So it's like, it makes a lot of sense for them to kind of start it slow, stare it down, let the atmosphere build. While these two, it's like, yeah, we got beef, but it's kind of adjacent beef. So Jay's just like, let me get in your face immediately.
Yeah, I like that. So definitely thought about that going into this match, which went back and forth for a while. It was a very, like I said, if you start a match hot like that, there's kind of an expectation to keep, like, if you're going to start a match hot, you better keep it going. Boom, 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 boom. You don't want to go from all that fast-paced shit at the start into like, oh, well, now we're doing a headlock. Now we're doing a wrist lock. Like, you want to keep that action going. And there was a lot of back and forth. Again, though, like, I feel like there were some kind of down parts to the match, but I do like the finish, countering the Claymore kick into the roll-up here for the 3. And, of course, there you have it. Drew looking a bit upset with that one. So,
yeah.
Like I said, different feel to the rest of the card. And at this point, that's what you want. If you're going to have 3 singles matches,
for sure,
you want them all to be as different as possible.
100%. And I also feel a little underwhelmed by the match. It's just, I really like both of these guys. They're both incredible wrestlers. And I just thought they could have had I thought the match was going to be a bit better, and, you know, maybe they're saving something for another match with more stakes and whatnot. But yeah, it felt a little quick to me. I was a little underwhelmed by it, but both of these guys, I still love them, and obviously always looking forward to when either of them are on screen.
No doubt. Like, yeah, Drew McIntyre is, for me, like,
yeah, he's like at the top.
Yeah,
like, he's so good.
He's at the top. Like, he had an incredible Honestly, probably WWE Match of the Year candidate last year with the Hell in a Cell with Punk. That was a spectacular match, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with Drew. I hope they don't drop the ball, and I hope he doesn't just kind of fall into the pack. Like, because I know at one point this guy was considering leaving WWE because he wasn't happy with how he was being booked, and he's reinvented himself in a fantastic way. So I hope that, you know, he does find his groove and potentially a future world champion. Like a Monster Heel world champion Drew would be amazing, honestly.
Absolutely. I would be super down for that. I think he's been very smart about this character and how he's gone about like campaigning for himself. I think he's really positioned himself in a way where it's kind of hard to deny him being a part of the featured storylines. So I assume he's going to be a big player for a long time to come. And yeah, if they drop that ball, then that's exactly what happened. They dropped that ball because he's been immaculate.
I feel like he got such a raw deal with the whole, because he had his big moment. It was just during the pandemic, and nobody really cared. So it's so that's unfortunate timing, and there's nothing that you can nothing you can do about that, to be honest. Like that's just,
and like Drew is, I think, a great example of what I said about Hangman earlier, is where they're logically evolving their character based on big story beats, right? Like Drew is using the fact that that moment, I mean, he had it, but it was really robbed from him. And the different things that have happened to him, he's really taken those and put his spin on his character because of how those things affected him, which that's one of my favorite parts about wrestling. So yeah, he is one of the top characters, if not the top character in wrestling right now.
I hear that. Honestly, I feel like he needed this win more than Jey Uso. Like,
yeah, I was surprised that Jey snuck the win. I didn't like it. I wanted Drew to go over.
I hear that. Yeah, I would have much preferred Drew to get the W here and to really establish himself in this new era as one of the big main stars of the show. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't taking L's off it. Like, he feels like that type of character where he shouldn't lose very much at all.
Yeah, I hear that. But yeah, I mean, the win, it wasn't a clean win. It was like a sneaky roll up. It wasn't like, I hit you my finisher and pinned you clean. So he came out of it not really looking like a loser, but it is what it is. I feel like, you know, a winning under his belt would have done him good here, but no big deal.
I agree.
Okay, then, oh my God, can we talk about this?
Shout outs to Los Angeles not letting me down, brother. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Yeah. Of course, Hulk Hogan came out to a mixed reaction. I mean, for the most part, this man was getting booed to high heaven, bro. Like, the crowd,
like you said,
happy.
like at the entrance, it was mixed reaction. When he started talking, he got booed the whole promo.
Yeah, he was getting heckled, bro. That was not looking like he wanted it to go. But Hulk Hogan is what it's the same promo every time. At this point, you don't expect anything different. Of course, he's going to do that. That's all he has to do. He's here to promote his beer, which of course, on the mat.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about the mat. The fact that Triple H was like, Netflix on the Fortnite logo was tripping me out. But beyond that, Hogan coming out, they sponsored, or they entered a partnership with his beer, which I found just mind-boggling, because the first time I ever heard about his beer was in a picture with him and, you know, a member of a radical political party that's quite racist. So, like, I don't understand. That was the first time I ever heard about the beer. The first time, Tyrant, I swear to you, that was the first time I heard about the beer, was him with a racist. Like, and I was like,
crazy business.
I was like, how are they entering a deal? There's part of WWE that seems like it's gonna go in good directions where they kick Vince out and whatnot, but then they keep doing the questionable business things anyway, and I'm just like,
yeah, they keep they it's like they're there without coming straight out and saying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
100%.
Yeah, so you can kind of see how things go backstage. But yeah, like the boos got stronger throughout the promo, and by the end of it, they were like booing over him talking.
Yes,
and rightfully so. You know, this man, like, you know, obviously there's been mad scandals. Like, just at this point, why did you cut stuff off the card if you're gonna have a Hulk Hogan promo, bro? Like,
Yeah, 100%. Like this was not the place to do it. Like LA is like it's a cold. I think a lot
yeah,
of the coastal cities in America, you're not gonna get away with showing Hogan. Like it's just too educated on the things that he's done post
yeah,
wrestling that have been not good. So
yeah.
if you did it in a town or a little bit more rural, a little bit more like middle of the country, maybe you could have gotten away with it.
Mm,
But in LA, it's not gonna happen, bro.
absolutely. Yeah, this was a big like downside for me. But yeah, of course after that we have our main event, which was CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins. And again, we gave out all our thoughts about Punk a little bit earlier on. Still a little bit unsure, really, about him. Shout out to him wearing the old school jacket, though. I like that.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. But yeah, there's another match that has like a story to it. And I feel like that they were kind of, with this first show on Netflix, I feel like they were like wrapping stories up rather than starting new ones. Which, for me, feels a little bit off. If we're going to talk about this a bit later on, but yeah, that just felt a bit off for me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like they approached it. It's very strange for sure. But yeah, the match was cool. Again, I felt like a little underwhelmed by the match. I don't know if it was just me and the vibe I was in by this time, but I don't know. A lot of this stuff to me, like, and my favorite match on the card was Rhea versus Liv. Like, it felt like I was expecting more out of the other matches that I just didn't get.
Yeah, the main event did have some kind of like big moments, big high spots and stuff like that. But they did that thing that I can get doing it sometimes, but bro, I hate it when they do this. They just like completely undermine the ref and basically tell the ref how to do his job. They're basically like, don't count, and then go outside the ring for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, bruh.
Like, why is the ref there then?
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is no stipulations were in this match, nothing like that. Like, yeah, and then they just completely like take it into their own hands. It's like one of those things where it would just feel more cohesive. It would feel more of a polished product if we just established something beforehand, whether it be a street fight or whatnot. But again, I think that goes back to the thing which you talked about though, where it was like tribal combat at the beginning. They didn't want to repeat that. So then they do these weird things that like are like loopholes where they don't have to necessarily address it, but they still get to do a little bit of what they want, and it's just like not good.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, a little bit convoluted. Like, honestly, they could have just kept it in the ring the whole match, and it would have been just as good. But I get that, you want to have some of that, brawling around. You want to feel it. You want to make it feel a bit more like a bigger fight, etc. There was a really rough bump in here, actually. Punk did a swinging neck breaker off the top rope on Seth, and it looked like he fucking fucked himself, bro. Like, at this point, you gotta imagine, bro, Punk's body has been through so much shit that anytime you do a move like this, he's gotta be just in agony, bro. Like, that looked...
I couldn't believe he did it. I was like, you really chose to do a swinging neck breaker off the top rope? And yeah, it looked like he gave himself whiplash upon landing. Like, immediately, like, well, bam. And I'm like, bruh, oh no.
Yeah, it did not look nice. Very rough looking landing. I would like, they went to the commercial break right after this bump. They usually do that. They usually have like a big spot, let the guys rest while they're on ad break or whatever. But Punk was like, yo, he looked hurt. Yeah, and honestly, there was a lot of movement here from both wrestlers, considering they both have nagging injuries and stuff like that. You got to give it to them, man. They were moving around the ring a lot. But I think there was one spot that really gave it away that, okay, Seth, maybe he's not 100% after his injury. He did the stomp, or like he missed it or something. And like, dude, did you see it? He like really like buckled down. Yeah,
it was the way, and he like landed on Punk's head.
Yeah,
like when he did the stomp, because like he didn't land how he usually does, right? Where he does it usually clean, where he like stomps you and then he just lands on both feet, goes covered with or gets a quick clean cover. This time he did the stomp and like fell. Like like I don't know what happened, but like his leg came down on the back of Punk's head when he did that. I was just like, what happened?
Yeah, it didn't look like a good landing, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I've got to give it to both these guys for even doing some of the stuff that they did. Like, and I've got to imagine neither of them is really fully 100% at this point.
Yeah, I doubt it.
But yeah, of course. So in this match, they did some of that kind of like big match feel stuff where like, they start using each other's moves and stuff like that. Yeah. Like Seth Rollins hit him with the GTS a couple times, and of course, it doesn't end the match because he's not the user of the GTS or whatever.
Yes,
he actually hit it twice, and Punk kicked out.
I wish like the announcers, I think this is kind of on the commentators, honestly. I wish they would sell it in a way where it's like this person obviously doesn't know how the move or hasn't perfected the move
There
to
you
a
go.
certain extent, right? Like
Yeah.
that's why they couldn't get the 3 count when these other wrestlers can. They just know that Punk always knows how to hit you in the temple properly or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Like I think there's the things that can be done there with commentary that like no commentators ever do when it comes to the other wrestler hitting their finisher.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's something that could definitely be done. My favorite spot of the match was after the first GTS though, and Seth goes out to Punk and he said, and they started singing the song after he hits the GTS. They started singing Seth's entrance theme, and he goes, "I hit your move, and they sing my song. I built this." I was like, "All right, that was hard." I was like, "That was hard" when he said that.
That's
I
nice.
like that a lot.
That's good awareness, man. Like, and if you're
To play off of the crowd
Yeah.
like that was really good.
and to know where the cameras are and the mics, that's like
Yeah.
that's just Seth. Seth's just a superstar, man. Good stuff there. And then of course there were a couple pedigrees. We saw pedigree on the announce desk, and bro, there was at least 3 or 4 moves on this table throughout the show. This motherfucker was not breaking.
No, that table looks like I took a good look at it after the pedigree, and I was like, yeah, this table is not designed to break at all.
Oh.
Like it looks completely like sturdy as hell, and
Yeah.
I'm sure all those bumps hurt like a bitch, like way more than
Yeah.
regular announce tables.
Absolutely. I think throughout the night as well, someone did like a shot with one of the monitors from this table, and I was like, in the 90s that looked a lot more like impactful because it was like a fucking square TV and not like an iPad, you know. Like it looked
100%.
but yeah, I mean, like a big bump here from Punk, and then of course another pedigree in the ring. And this is another thing, let's talk about that again. So he did someone else's finisher twice and couldn't get the job done. Like, I don't like people even using the pedigree if your name is not Triple H. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, honestly, I could say the same for the Stone Cold Stunner as well. Like, I don't like Owens using that either. But, like, I feel like the pedigree is just a special move. You just don't use it. It'd be like if someone started using a tombstone and it was like a finisher. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel you 100%.
Feels
like, I don't know. I'm especially bothered by the pedigree for some reason. Too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's just like Trips killing people for decades with it or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? But the pedigree like just bothers me a bit more as well. Like the stunner, I actually don't mind because I really like Kevin Owens and I feel like he's a good spiritual successor to the Steve Austin.
I hear that.
So
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm not as bothered by the stunner usage from him. But yeah, the pedigree is just, especially when it doesn't finish, especially when you do one on the table, there's no beats between you throw him in and give him another one and he doesn't lose. That's rough.
Kind of weird. So yeah, Punk kicking out of everything that Seth's throwing at him right here. We had the big finish, which was actually awesome. So Seth's superplex Falcon Arrow combo that he usually uses towards the end of matches. Very, very nice. Went for that. After the superplex, Punk immediately muscles him up. GTS into another GTS, and then slumps down for the win. That was a cool finish. Like a very good, like, you know, they both exhausted each other out. He won, but did he really win? You know what I'm saying? Kind of win.
Yeah.
So
I always love when it's built upon the foundational move set that the wrestler uses. You know what I mean? Like it would make sense that Punk would have that moment scouted, even exhausted at that point in the match, right? Something that he might have been waiting for to really get that GTS off. So yeah, it was a smart ending, and I like finishes that are built like that.
Yeah, not bad. Really, really good finish there. And I feel like it's a good way to end the match, to end the show actually. Of course, even having Punk wrestle on Raw is a big deal these days. So to go to like a big, you know, exhaustion finish against Rollins was nice. It looked like it kind of busted, like the GTS looked like it busted Seth's face open actually a little bit. We had some blood.
Yeah. I was like, yo, he actually got a legit scratch, like got cut open from the GTS. That's kind of wild. You don't see that often at all.
Yeah. Not common you see that. But there you go, man. And I feel like Seth Rollins loses every match I see him in. Like, like this guy, can he get a win sometime? Like,
I was gonna say, I don't remember the last time Seth won, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, this guy like loses a lot, man. And deep down, he's got to feel some type of way about this because he's one of the people that was very vocal about not being happy with Punk coming back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm interested in. Like, does this just stop here between Seth and Punk now? Because
yeah.
this storyline to me felt like Seth should have got a win over Punk at some point.
Yeah. Gotta imagine that. I don't know though. Like,
Yeah, I
so
don't know.
for me though, this match it did feel like a nice main event, but it goes back to like ending the show on this and not like introducing any new angles or storylines. It kind of feels weird to me.
Agreed. Like it was a big show. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting some big like evolutions in storylines, whether it be The Rock attacking Roman, whether it be some type of new wrinkle in this storyline with Seth and CM Punk. I feel like there was a lot of wrinkles I was expecting that didn't happen at all. Like,
no doubt,
none whatsoever.
Absolutely. Like I just feel like if you're gonna have a whole new big era that they're talking about, this is a Netflix era, why you wouldn't start with like a big some kind of big new storyline kicking off? Like I don't get that. Like that seems like
no hook for next week.
Literally,
there was no hook for next week,
bro. If I don't watch wrestling and I've always had Netflix, right? If I see this on the Netflix front page, oh Raw, let's tune in, let's watch this. I wouldn't watch it again. There's no reason. There's no reason to.
Like 100%. Like I don't get like I listened to like Alvarez and Meltzer, and I think Alvarez was like, yeah, they said that this was supposed to be like a standalone show, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? This should be trying to hook people for next week. You're in the like I think even before it happened, right? Meltzer was like, by the end of this Raw, we should know a bunch of matches for WrestleMania. That's not what happened at all, right? Like the way it played out, we don't know shit about WrestleMania, honestly. Exactly. And I thought like that's definitely the direction they should have went, or at least like you said, give us a hook for next week, something that will make us tune back in. It didn't feel like that. It felt like they wrapped up Rhea and Liv, right? And if you're a person that hasn't watched until now, it was just like a random match that just happened one-off, and now you're not gonna get a follow-up to it. Like that feels like it's done. Seth versus CM Punk feels like it's done. I think it's gonna keep going, but it feels like this was a weird beat in time for it, and there wasn't a hook to be like, oh, Seth's gonna come back next week with this or that or whatever. And yeah, there was just not as many hooks as I was expecting, not as many wrinkles.
I hear that. And at the same time, it's like it just felt a bit weird to me to not have that kind of like you say, hook for next time. I would have liked to see some of that. So let's talk about what we liked and disliked about the show. Okay. I can tell you something I disliked straight away or straight off the bat. Where's the champ?
Dude, yeah. They showed this promo and I was like, oh yeah, he's the champ of Raw. Why is he not on the freaking show?
Yo, like, bro, not only is this guy literally one of the reasons to watch WWE for these days, to just have him on a hype package, bro, he's like, okay, so let's say, Cody's the SmackDown champ. Why did we see the SmackDown champ on Raw? This is the Raw champ. You're supposed to have him on.
Yep. There's just like, this is definitely one of the more frustrating things about WWE sometimes, that it feels kind of like some leftover habits of like the old regime, where it's like that we got to bring back we got to make sure Undertaker and Hulk Hogan and everybody's on the card. When like, bruh, Gunther is getting a bigger pop than most of these guys right now.
Facts.
Gunther is actually not only the champion, he's one of the most over wrestlers you got. And you've been treating him immaculately since he's debuted on the main roster. Why is he not on this show featured as somebody that's going to be on here every week going forward? He's a sick character. You don't got to second guess with this guy. Just put him out there. People will like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard there might be some there's some rumors right now that he might be actually injured. Because apparently the last time he wrestled was like mid-December or something on a house show, and apparently hasn't really been seen a lot since then. But even still, have him come out and just talk. I would rather have the champion come out and talk to us than fucking Hulk Hogan, bro. Come on.
Yeah, 100%. And again, goes back to another thing about WWE is that they definitely always book for the global audience or the audience that are watching around the world. It's rare that they take into account the local audience. But I guarantee you, Gunther was one of those guys coming to PWG. Gunther's big in LA, bro. Like, he would have got a monster pop. But that's just something that WWE doesn't take into consideration that much.
They don't think about that at all. But yeah, honestly, like the show, it felt a bit more akin to like an AEW Dynamite than a WWE Raw. I'm not gonna lie, with the focus on like big marquee matches and the lack of like, you know, big storylines unfolding and stuff like that. Like, if I feel like it's something that you would more likely see on like Dynamite these days rather than Raw.
Yeah, for sure. I think also like WWE pay-per-view style rather than like their weekly show style nowadays as well. Like, man, the 4 matches in 3 hours, bro. Like, it really felt like such a long show because of that to me.
Yeah, I hear that.
Oh man, and then again for a lot of these matches to feel like also not be booked like I don't know, it was strange to me. Like obviously the Solo versus Roman match was booked like a pay-per-view match, but like Rhea Liv losing their last woman standing after feuding for like 2 years, I felt was a little whack. Like just a lot of these things kind of underwhelmed me, and I did not like the pacing of the show for sure.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Definitely like. Yeah, I don't know. They could have done this so differently, if I'm honest. Like, it's going back to this is a whole new era. They didn't introduce anything to keep people wanting to tune in next time. Like, if you weren't already a wrestling fan, you're more than likely not going to tune in next week. There was no reason to because they didn't give us a hook. The show didn't go off the air with anything that thought, oh, I wonder what happens next time. It was just, oh, Punk won, cool. That's the end. So I feel like next time they need to do something big, man. Like,
yeah, like I'm so surprised there was no hook to keep people watching for the next week. Like,
I mean,
like nothing, like no Rock attacking. Like you don't even know when Logan Paul is gonna be on the show, even though he's 100% WWE. For everybody that wants to see Logan Paul, whether because you like him or because you hate him, you don't know when he's gonna be on the show again. Like it's just so weird. So a lot of the stuff just didn't make.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, like the Rock being kind of like babyface instead of
I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah, that was random. We're just supposed to forget that he like made Cody bleed in the rain. Like,
yeah, like bro, you were taking it. You were taking it to the umpteenth degree as a heel, and then you just came back as a board of directors. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, kind of weird. Also, no tag matches, no like it was all singles matches. That kind of threw me for a bit. So there were lots of things. There are lots of things to dislike about this show. But there were some things to like about the show as well. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, of course, like we mentioned a couple times now, big event feel. Like, you can't argue that.
Huge.
The way the way they presented it at the start with that excellent video package, which you absolutely have to go and watch. It will kind of like, remind you why you love pro wrestling. And you know, having the 4 big marquee matches, that it did give it a special feel. I'm not gonna lie, but it was everything around it that I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, like in general, I think WWE is quite good right now, honestly, for the most part. And I mean, I can't even think of a number high enough to talk about how much better it is than it was when Vince was here. But like, it's incredibly improved, and I like a lot of the shows week to week now. This one I was underwhelmed by, but I believe, like you said, it was a lot of trying to get just like the casual audience, like the stuff that they remember, right? Whether it be Undertaker or John Cena coming out and The Rock, and having like a more focused show to try to build certain characters going forward, the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, all this stuff, getting Hogan out there. So like, I get why they did it this way. I'm not a fan of the way they did it. I think I'll be a fan of the Raws that are gonna follow this a lot more than I was a fan of this one, because that's how I kind of felt recently. I think the weekly shows have definitely taken a step up. But yeah, man, there was definitely still, like, just in general with WWE, I think there's a lot to like right now in terms of how they're handling a lot of the characters. Drew McIntyre, like we mentioned, is so good right now. The Bloodline stuff is still going strong. Not its peak, but it's still definitely going strong. They got some interesting things. Like, the most interesting thing to me that came out of the show was like, what's John Cena gonna do? Like, that's like the only thing that we kind of got a hook for, right? It was like, okay, John Cena's gonna be coming back and doing stuff soon, but like, that's about it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, okay, tough question. If you had to give the show a rating out of 10, what are you giving it?
Oh man, like off dome, like what came to my mind was 6.5.
6.5. I was literally going to say 6 or 7, so we're on the same page.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I would say, you know, some good points, like the actual wrestling was decent. Oh, go ahead.
one thing I do want to bring up is that I also had a little bit of Wrestle Kingdom hangover when it came to the camera work. This happens to me every year. And I've fallen off a lot of watching New Japan now, but I watched Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty, and that was like 10 hours of New Japan into Raw. And man, like there was not even a lot of camera cuts. It's not even egregious as it once was with Kevin Dunn and all that. It's not that bad anymore. But after watching 10 hours straight of New Japan, just I hate the way America shoots wrestling, bro. Oh my god.
I still need to get caught up with Wrestle Kingdom because I heard some really good things about it. But yeah, I definitely need to get caught up.
Just like the shooting. I mean, even without like watching this most recent, you obviously know the differences between the shooting of wrestling in Japan and America. Both AEW and WWE. It's just like infuriating when you come off of a weekend of watching Japanese wrestling. But
no doubt.
That's something that annoyed me.
But yeah, there we go, guys. The Netflix debut of the WWE with Raw. Solid show, but you know, could be better. Like, again, good in some areas, drop the ball in others, but we'll see how they pick up next time, because I am looking forward to seeing where they go from here. I mean, that's only because I'm a wrestling fan. Like, if I wasn't, I'd be like, I'm not watching this shit again.
Yeah, like legit.
Yeah.
And you know, they've tested the waters a little bit in the Netflix, like we talked about, right? Rock dropped the curse word. Michael Cole was feeling a little bit more loose. Travis Scott just went out there with a blunt. You know, they have that little aspect to them now where we have like we're not sure what to expect in certain aspects now, because they have a bit more freedom of not being on, you know, the syndicated television and whatnot. So yeah, man, it would be interesting going forward. I really could not believe that. Like,
that's so crazy.
Like, I was like, bro, I was never in my life did I expect to see someone smoking weed on a WWE broadcast,
bro. And you know, they've always like kind of hinted towards that kind of stuff with like RVD and later,
for sure.
And later on, what's his name? The RK Bro guy,
Wesley, or Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle. Yeah. That was again like part of his thing as well. But yeah, like just
to have it out there on the camera. While Jey Uso is just yeeting next to him, I'm just like, what's happening? Like, how is this the timeline we're in?
That was crazy, bro. But yeah, man, this is a lot of fun. Like, honestly, the sky's the limit with this show. Like, if you guys have any suggestions of stuff you want us to cover, like, I'm thinking we could do current wrestling. We can do throwback shows. We can do anything. Yeah. There's like 40 plus years of like stuff to go over here with wrestling. So it's like, you know, we can talk about whatever. We can even like pick random like episodes of Raw and SmackDown to review, like Nitro, all of that. Like, you know, there's so much we can look at and talk about. So yeah, man, like I would love to go over just anything, because like you say, like we got a lot to talk about when it comes to wrestling. And it's, you know, if you could take anything away from this, it's that intro video at the start. The legacy and the history of professional wrestling is so rich, and there's so much to talk about and discuss when it comes to it, you know, to this art form. So yeah, man, let's definitely link up again in the future, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen the Kenny Gabe Kid match?
No, I've been waiting to watch it actually.
Okay,
Is it good?
Oh,
I mean, do I even need to ask, bro? Like, of course it's good.
Yeah. Like we might have to talk about that, you know, whether it be on stream or not. Like, that is, after you see that, you gotta message me, because
hell yeah,
it was legitimately vintage Kenny, and I really couldn't believe it was straight vintage Kenny, bro.
Hell
like,
yeah.
So yeah, definitely check that out.
No doubt, definitely will. But
and Gabe Kid's the man. Huge Gabe Kid fan.
He's really sick, dude. Like, he's super good.
He's awesome, super awesome.
But yeah, we'll come back. Like, I would like to also do, like, maybe we can do, like, a bit more bite-sized. We can recap, like, the week in wrestling. We can, like, talk about Raw, SmackDown, or Dynamite, or whatever there is. So there's lots of possibilities. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to see in the future. I'll upload this onto my YouTube. I'll make, like, a separate playlist. And then, you know, if this takes off, we can make a whole new channel or something for this in the future. There's lots of possibilities, like I say. So, all right. Rynge, thank you so much for coming on, man, giving us your thoughts, letting us pick your brain. And, yeah, man, really appreciate it.
Of course, man. You know, we always, like we say, we've done this at tournament weekends. We've gotten together and watched and chopped up about wrestling. So always glad to do it with you, my man. Thanks for having me on, and I hope to do it again soon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.